pale-skinned residents. So that could also... Is the rest of the country going to go the same way as London? Well, yes, we can see it's increasing. Is it going to be as dramatic as London? Probably not quite as dramatic as London is the hope. Now, this is quite an interesting one. Comparison of new onset cold-like illness and the new onset of COVID with respiratory symptoms. Now, this is COVID with respiratory symptoms. So this is people diagnosed with COVID who are suffering from these features here we've just looked at, these common cold features. And we see that there's almost many of them, people with COVID colds, what we could call COVID colds, as actual colds caused by all the other upper respiratory viruses put together. Interesting. And actually now, these two lines have now crossed, because again this is only up to the 27th of December. So there we saw that just under half of colds were COVID colds, and just over half of colds were non-COVID colds. Well, now we know with the latest data that 75% of colds are now COVID colds. In other words, this blue line will be much higher. So most times when people think they've got a cold in the UK, in the majority of cases, they're actually suffering from SARS coronavirus 2 infection, which is pretty interesting. Now, what I want to talk about next, before we go on to the science, is what we might call, and it does link to it, it's not completely disjointed, what we might call the Australia experiment. Record infections from the economy. Now, is this as ridiculous as it seems? Let's just look briefly at some data from the UK. Now, here we see the cases in England. Now, okay, it's over the bank holiday and the cases might be not being fully reported, but that's the English data there over the past month. Are cases starting to go down a bit? Probably not, but they're not going up as quickly as they were. And you can compare that to Scotland, that has had much stricter regulations, and we see that theirs has actually gone up a bit more. Now, I know I can't make too much of this because it's a personal, but I think what we can safely say from this data is that cases in England are not massively outpacing cases in Scotland. I think we can safely say that. So it's